This is a huge, huge business, and it's continuing to grow. It just happened so fast for me, bro. I don't really think about money like that, and I'm not talking to anybody about it like that. So when I first heard that number, I'm like, what?
Welcome to the Sneaker Game. I'm your host, Nick DePaula, and it's only right that our first guest is Kevin Durant. Thanks for coming on the show, KD. So I want to start at the very beginning. Obviously, you're coming out of Texas. Great year there. You have a huge decision between Nike and Adidas. Like, let's just talk through that first deal you got and like how much was loyalty a factor early on?
Yeah, I mean, wearing Nikes my whole life, always being a fan of Nikes as a kid, and then as a basketball player, high school, AAU, college. That's all I wanted on my feet. That's all my friends wore, so it just felt a part of my DNA. And, once Adidas and Nike was on the table and I visited Adidas, they had a great pitch for me as well, but I couldn't see myself playing my NBA career as an Adidas athlete. And Nike's always been the supreme brand to me, not just of sneakers, but, in everything. So to be a part of that felt deeper than just, a couple extra dollars. So chose Nike, and it took me some time. I had a lot of voices in my ear, but ultimately I chose what was best.
And talk me through just like what both brands were offering to you. Like, what was that Adidas pitch like? Just give me some details on that.
Eventually a signature shoe, but mainly it was centered around the money. And the longevity, being in there for 7 to 8 years, they wanted to tie me in. So rookie coming in, you're not really guaranteed to get that many years from a shoe company. So, I knew it was a unique situation coming in and being guaranteed 5+ years on a contract with over $1 million. I'm like, oh shit, I'm coming from the dorm room to get on this private jet to go to Portland to do these meetings, and then I'm coming back and I'm sitting down thinking like, is it really about just the money, or should it be about where can I build a nice brand? What do I believe is the best fit for me personally? Where can I be the most creative? And what's the hottest? And Nike was the best choice.
And I know at the time Adidas had like the jersey rights.
Yeah.
Like I remember, what was the pitch that they gave you in terms of just having all the different jerseys?
Yeah, so when I went in, both Nike and Adidas, the campus was full of KD stuff. Quotes that I had, just highlights in Adidas. They had, the top 5 teams that year in the lotteries. And they had my jersey, my number on all of those jerseys. And I'm like I said, I'm coming from the dorm rooms. I'm not even thinking that none of this stuff is possible. And I see all of this, I'm just like, it just happened so fast for me. And I realized I was in the big boy leagues, after that. So it was a quick intro to reality, I guess, because basketball was just purely fun before that. Then I seen the business side, and it was I knew how serious they was getting.
So walk me through that first day where you signed with Nike. I think you took what, 10 million less?
Yeah.
And like what that process was like, and then I think you were in Vegas at USAB, right? So tell me about that first day.
Yeah. So I signed my deal with Nike, and they told me I was getting a signature shoe my second year in the league. Like halfway through my second year, I was super excited. We signed it in a hotel. I was playing Team USA with the best players in the world, and then I went back to my room and threw on my New Balance because that's what we wore where I'm from. DC, everybody wore New Balance, and I'm thinking that's a luxury brand. I'm not thinking that's a competitive brand of Nike. Yes, I'm 18 at the time, so I'm like, yeah, I got a fresh new pair of New Balance. I never got easy New Balance like this, so bet I got me a new pair. And once I hit the league, I walked downstairs, and every rep from Nike was just like walking past me as I was getting off the elevator. They looked down at my shoes. They ain't say much, but I got a call like 5 minutes later. So, that first day, it made me realize, like, all right, now everything is all Nike from the top to the bottom.
And it was like the gray suede dad shoe, of course?
Yeah, the 992s, the joints that everybody wear, grandma to the little kids wear those, so, yeah.
And so pretty much right off the bat, you guys start the process on the first signature shoe. Like, were you able to give a lot of input? Was it overwhelming? Like, what was just like having your first shoe in that process like?
At that point, I wasn't even worried. I didn't really know how creative I could get on the shoe. It was all so new to me. I just was excited to have one, my own. And I trusted Leo with, I gave him my vision and stories that I wanted to tell. I took him back to the neighborhoods I grew up in, the course that I played on. So he kind of had a vision and a mood board for where he wanted to go. And when he showed me that first one, it stood out to me because first off, it had my logo on it, but it was two-tone, it had the patent leather side and the leather side. It stood out on the court. It stood out, through the TV. So, it was a perfect first shoe.
And to me, the lockout year is the one that the line just like took a whole different leap. I mean, you scored 66 at Rucker in that Washington football colorway, I'll call it. And then you had, of course, the NERFs right after that. Like, what changed for you in that lockout session?
I just think the stars aligned. I mean, and I didn't really plan on doing anything like that. I mean, I actually felt that my shoes were going to take a hit because we weren't playing. And it was a lockout year, and I wasn't able to show them on court. But luckily, with the lockout and so many games that were set up and cameras were everywhere, all I wanted to do was go hoop. It happened to become a whole thing throughout that time, from the summer leading up until, when we started again on December 25th. And, I played games from all over the country, from LA to Portland to Miami to Oklahoma City to Memphis, and Instagram was just starting to pick up.
It was like the start of Ball of Life was taking off.
Exactly, Ball of Life was taking off, Instagram was taking off, and then Nike came and seen all of this, and they capitalized.
It's crazy, it's been 10 years, first of all. And then I think another thing, though, was that so many of those fours, the themes were great, right? So you had NERF, you had Weatherman, you had Galaxy. Like, how much of importance was it for you to have always just great stories, great themes that you were sharing?
Yeah, I mean, I just want everything to be authentic. Like I said, this line was so personal to me. I always dreamt of having my own shoe. So all the things that meant something to me as a kid, playing on NERF hoops was a thing always around the house. Even if we didn't have a NERF hoop, it was a hamper and a sock. Playing around the house, shooting baskets when we couldn't go outside, that was a thing. And I wanted to partner with somebody like NERF that can create that for me and combine the two.
Have you noticed how there's tons of guys wearing them this season all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Like, which one stood out so far?
I've seen Derek Jones wear the Weathermans. I've seen John Morant wear Weathermans. Tyrese Halliburton wear them as well.
John Wall was wearing them.
John Wall, James Ennis wore them. Melo Ball won before when he was hooping over in Australia. To see the guys in the league look at those as retros, for one, make me feel old, but at the same time it made me realize that, man, we may need to drop one of these again. It was a special time, and that shoe was incredible, and it staged a lot for my upcoming, my shoes coming after that. So it was special.
Storytelling and themes have been a huge part of every player's signature line. But for Kevin, there's always one that means most to him, and that's the one that honors his late Aunt Pearl. Hearing more about the inspiration behind that and how that's been a constant every year in his line was something I was really excited to hear about. Yeah, I mean, that's just all the different themes you've had over the years, and I know the one that probably means the most to you is probably the Aunt Pearl one.
Yeah.
So tell me how that one really started and just kind of how important it's been to have it annually too.
Yeah, I just wanted to honor my aunt, somebody that spent a lot of time with and helped me throughout this journey, and I felt like incorporating that into a shoe and carrying that on the floor to benefit cancer itself would be cool. I didn't think it would reach this far and last this long, but I'm glad it has, and people know that shoe for what it is, and a lot of sneakerheads are constantly saying my aunt's name, so that's pretty cool as well. But to shine a light on breast cancer and what we're doing for the K.L. Foundation, just to be a part of that it's special, because to know that shoes can help change people in different ways. I mean, it all goes back to playing the game of basketball. It's just a beautiful sport that branches off in so many different areas. Is special.
For me and what I do, like a lot of the biggest stories I break every year, it's all about the sneaker free agency. And that was not really a thing back in 2014 when you were up on your deal.
No.
So when you were going into that whole summer of 2014, like what were your expectations? Obviously your Nike deal was expiring and you had Under Armour that was coming pretty heavy at you. Like, what was it like just going into that whole window?
I didn't think it would be, they reported it like it was a real free agency. I was going on ESPN and I was hearing updates, you know what I'm saying? I was like, what the hell is going on? But, I mean, Under Armour came in guns blazing, trying to take me from Nike and make me a part of their team. And they had a phenomenal thing going on. They just had signed Steph, and Cam was playing well for them on the football side, and Brady, and the company was just really growing fast at that point. And it was in Baltimore, so it was right up the street from where I grew up in Maryland. So it felt right. It felt like it was something I wouldn't mind being a part of, something fresh and new. And I went to the campus, and I hooped in their stuff for a week when I was a free agent. I really enjoyed going through that process. It felt like it was like the recruiting process over again. But ultimately, when I sat down and thought about it, I was like, I can't start over, especially creatively in this business, because I've had some stuff that's gonna last. You know, I knew the 4s and the 6s at that point.
Because you were coming off of the MVP season.
Yeah, those
and
were
the 6s, you know, was flying at that point.
Yeah, and I was like, I want to follow up off of that. I done had some nice, the 5s was nice shoes. I mean, I had 3 good shoes in a row. I'm like, I want to see where this goes. You know, I love what Under Armour's building. I respect what they're building. But I thought it was just perfect for me to be a part of Nike for the rest of my career. You know, so. You know, it really felt like I was going through a real free agency, like I was really deciding on where my life was going to go. And even though people may look at it as just tennis shoes, but it was a huge deal because we invest so much time and energy into this.
Was there ever scenarios, like did you have conversations with Steph about that like what if concept, or was it pretty much over at that point?
Nah, I think it worked out for the best. You know, I was going to be like the president of basketball over there at Under Armour. They was gonna create a title for me, and you know, for whoever I wanted to. You know, so what that would have been like? You know, Steph would have been under me at that point. You know,
Vice president maybe.
Yeah. What was that title? I mean, so it would have been a lot of confusion, I guess. But I'm glad it worked out for the best. Steph has his own brand, which is like incredible to see. You know, because you know that's what all you want as a brand is to kind of have your own little infrastructure, so that's dope as hell to see. So it worked out for the best of both of us.
And is there any commercial that sticks out, just whether it's a favorite one or one that was the most fun to shoot?
I like the baddest commercial was probably the best one. Dick Gregory was in that one. And the commercial that I wasn't even in, it was everybody else was just talking about the bad. I mean, that was probably the best one. But then I did another one for the KD6 too. That was dope. I mean, every campaign that I've been in, man, it's hard for me to just name one. But that baddest campaign stuck out the most.
Another recent, I call it a Nike commercial, but the Drake music video.
That was like a Nike commercial.
Just walk me through. I mean, what was that shoot like? It was all through the middle of the night. It was on campus, like.
Yeah, it was a trip. I got the call in like a day's notice, like, yo, you want to do this video with Drake? I was like, I mean, Drake, of course. So I flew into Portland that day, and like you said, we was there all night, and we were just shooting around while they were filming. It didn't feel like we were, you know, it wasn't like a staged thing. We just hooping, playing, and they filmed everything, and he started rapping on the sides. I was shooting around, so it felt natural. But to see the other sides of, you know, somebody that huge and, you know, a brand that big, to see his side of things, to see how he operates was cool to be in his world a bit. They work extremely hard, just like we do.
How have you seen, just since you entered the league too, like it was such a, you play basketball, here's your signature shoe, and now you have guys like Drake. Like, how have you seen just the evolution of everything changing as you're in the league?
Yeah, social media, I mean, it's created another platform, man. If you got such a huge following like Drake, it would be almost a crime if you don't sign him, you know, to an apparel deal. These guys can sell anything. You know, these entertainers can literally sell anything. So, you know, especially merch, you know, hoodies, jackets, clothes, and then you add the resources that Nike has behind them. I mean, it's guaranteed win, you know, especially with Drake. So you seeing his impact, you see how many people, you know, how many people he seeded with his stuff. I don't even think it dropped. Did it drop?
I did not get them, and they did not come out.
Yeah, so like he's seeding so many people, and they're rocking it. So watch when it dropped to the masses. It's gonna go crazy. And you're seeing it with Jerry Lorenzo. You're seeing it with J. Cole. You're seeing it with A$AP Rocky. Everybody is taking that route. Travis Scott. How can we forget about Travis?
And have you and Kyrie talked about doing any like packs together? Like, what are we gonna see?
Yeah, we definitely talked about that. Our ideas are always changing every so often. So we'll see what we come up with. You know, I definitely want to try to combine one of our shoes, not just the colorway, but actually make a hybrid shoe of one of ours. I don't know which number I'll choose.
So when you look out long term, and obviously you got a 10-year Nike deal in 2014. And then even beyond that, like what are some of the end goals you have? Are you thinking like lifetime deal, even having your own building? Like what all have you thought about with Nike?
Yeah, I thought about all of that. I want to not have my own building though, but being with Nike for life and releasing shoes for as long as people want them. I feel as though have a few shoes that can last. I feel like my brand and who I am as a player is pretty solidified in this sport. So hopefully we can keep building what we have right now and see what happens. But obviously I do think about spending the rest of my career with Nike.
Only 8 players in league history have had 10+ models while playing, and only 3 have had 14. It's you, LeBron, and MJ coming up this spring. Like, how much have you thought about that, and how much is that going to be impactful?
Yeah, I mean, to be at 14 shoes, I mean, itself is a great accomplishment. To build the brand the way we built it and tell the stories that we've told. It's amazing to be a part of a brand like Nike, but to be in that category with MJ and LeBron, that's an amazing category. So I just want to keep providing good moments, keep telling my stories, and make good shoes, man.